We've done a few lids. Now I'm going to show you how to set a gallery to sit a lid into. So just to recap what a gallery is. A gallery is the recessed part on the inside of the lip of a vessel, of a pot. A little gallery sitting on the inside here, or show you a little basic bowl lid. It sits inside the gallery of this piece here. So I'm going to show you how to do a very simple setting gallery. So I'm using about 1.5 kilos of clay here. Make sure it's really well attached to your wheel head before you start. I'm going to cone up and then centre down, and I'm just going to draw up a basic cylinder. So when you're going to go and cone up and down a couple of times, people always have problems that they end up with a big dip in the middle of their clay when they cone up the second time. If you make sure that your pieces, when you've centered down, make sure that the top of your clay is rounded as opposed to flat. If you start coning up with it totally flat, you'll end up with a dip, and then you can have problems if you get air trapped inside. So before you cone up the second time, press down on the side just to make sure that you've got a rounded area on the top of your pot, on the top of your clay, so that you don't get a hole when you cone up. So pressing from the base as you come up. And when you're pressing down to centre, kind of push the clay away from you. You're kind of pushing up towards 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So now I'm going to put my hole in the middle, pressing all the way down. And then start to draw out towards me. Don't forget the inside of your pot, so taking away any excess water and going back and forth with your sponge to compress down the base. So now I'm going to slow the wheel right down. I'm going to begin to draw the clay up. So again, fingers on the inside, your finger around your knuckle, pinching in from the bottom and drawing up towards your nose. What you want to remember when you're doing a gallery is you want to leave enough clay at the top. You can't do it on a really thin rim on the top of your piece. So if you've got a really mean rim, say like that piece just there, you're not going to be able to split that in two. So you want to make sure that you've got a good amount of clay at the top of your pot so that you don't have difficulties when it comes to making your gallery. Just draw this up a bit further. Keep consolidating and compressing on your rim every time. This will mean you've got a nice flat area, a nice leveled area when you come to do your gallery as well. Do one more pull just to get a little bit more height on it. Taking away any excess water. So I'm going to shape this pot slightly to belly it out. And I'm using my sponge on the outside. If you've got a larger piece, it's often good to use a sponge instead of just your hand, because that way the sponge displaces and disperses all the tension when you're pressing out, and it's easier a lot of the time to use the sponge because it takes over more area on the outside of the piece. So that's my basic pot throne. It's a little chunky, but when you come to throw your pots, you'll take a little bit more time over them. But I've left myself a nice thick area of clay right on the rim so that I can work on my gallery. So consolidating and compressing down on the rim to make it nice and level, nice and flat. So I'm going to take a flat-ended tool. If you don't have a flat-ended tool, a really useful thing to use is the end of a wooden peg. If you take a peg, split it in half, it has that flat 90-degree end on the end of it. So that's a really useful thing if you can't find a proper pottery tool. You want to slow your wheel down slightly. You don't want to be doing this too fast. And I'm going to put my left hand on the inside, and this is just going to hold and support the inside of the pot because I'm going to be pressing down, and you can begin to distort your pot if you've got nothing inside to hold it. So my left hand fingers on the inside of the pot, and with my tool I'm just going to begin to press down. So you might want to make a little mark first of all where you're going to start your gallery. So I'm going to start my gallery round about there, and it's just pressing the tool down towards my fingers on the inside. Pressing it down, making sure that inside lip of your gallery hasn't gone too thin. So it's just compressing that as well, consolidating and compressing that as you do on the top, but just kind of turn 90 degrees. So now you can see there is a gallery formed inside here, and that's when you would put, it's a very small example, but a really basic bowl form can sit in there. So you can throw bowls, turn them upside down and sit them on the inside here. Again, when you're doing lids this kind of size, it'd be a good idea to throw your lid at the same time as you throw your piece, and throw your lid on a bat as well, so you can take it up and measure it, so you get a really nice precise finish to your lid. I'm going to draw up a little bit on the outside here because I've got a little bit of clay here, so just to accentuate excuse me, accentuate where my gallery is sitting, just making sure that angle is really nice, crisp and clean, and then just going to press ever so slightly as if I'm drawing up the wall of a piece. Water on the inside there. Sticking ever so slightly, so just put a little bit of water in there. Just pressing my fingers together to begin to draw up so this is just drawn this up a little bit and flared it out ever so slightly. I'm now going to soften this off with a piece of chamois, and the same on the inside of your gallery as well. Do make sure that your gallery is nice and flat and there's a nice little area for your lid to sit on. Just going to press on the outside here. This is just for shaping, just defining the shape of where the gallery and the rib are going to be. And again, soften off with your chamois and take away the excess clay at the bottom. Always remember to take away as much clay as you possibly can when the pot's still on the wheel. I see a lot of learners taking pots off and their pots come down and they come right out to here and they've got masses of clay excuse me, they've got masses of clay left at the bottom of their piece. You can turn this off once you've taken the pot off the wheel, but it just means you're going to be excuse me, it just means you're going to be turning a lot of extra clay off. Also, it will lengthen the time it takes for the base of your piece to get ready to turn. This bit up here has got thinner, so it's going to dry out a lot quicker, and this bit at the bottom, if it's got a lot of clay left there, it's just going to take a lot longer to dry out and get to the state where you can actually turn it. If you take off as much of the clay as you possibly dare to at the bottom, it means you're going to have a much more even wall all the way round before you even go to turn your pot. So it's going to dry more naturally, it's going to dry at the same rate, and it just means when you come to turn your pot over and turn it, you're going to be spending a couple of minutes on it rather than 10-15 minutes. Next time I'll show you how to do the lid, a larger lid that fits into here. I did show you doing them off the hump, but I'm going to show you how to do one off the bat next time. Thanks.